my sweet friends. I hope you are all doing well. Welcome to day 2 of our 12 Days of Christmas in July series. If you're just joining in, you can find a link to the first day at the top of the description so you can stay caught up. And if you're new around here, I hope you will consider joining my crafty little family by hitting the subscribe button. Don't forget to listen for the question of the day so you can join in the fun. For today's project, we're creating an accordion fold pocket folio, and it's not just one set of pockets, there are 2. This folio is so thick and chunky and sturdy, I just love it, and it's full of pockets so that we can include loads of beautiful tags and inserts. So if that sounds good to you, then stick with me and we'll make it together. For today's project, I have the Evergreen and Holly collection from Vicki Boutin, and I'm using the 6x8 paper pad for my pattern papers, and I'm also going to use the tags from the 12x12 cut apart sheet. I also have my bags here that I picked up from Amazon, and for each section you will need 3. To create the pockets, you're going to need to score your bags and fold them. So the first bag, I'm bringing the sealed side to the corner of my scoreboard, and I'll score that at 6. For the second bag, I'm going to bring the open side of my envelope to the corner and then score that at 6 as well. For the third bag, I'm going to bring the open side to the corner and then score it at 4.5. We're going to be working our pattern papers in before we fold and glue these sections together, but I found that this particular bag was not exactly 5 3/4 as it says. I think that is just the nature of a mass-produced item. So how I get around that is I'm bringing that all the way to where the blade cuts. Then I'm just placing this piece of heavy cardstock, and then this is where I will position my pattern paper to line it up to cut it to be exactly as wide as I need it to be. Or you could trim the excess, but I just found it much easier to have it trimmed exactly how I wanted it before I started assembling. To begin assembling the pockets, I'm going to take our bag that had the 6-inch with the opening on the top, and I folded it on the score line and brought that to the back side. The reason for that is so that this doesn't interfere with things being slid in and out of that pocket. So I just want to tuck it around there and secure it on the back. I'm using my double-sided adhesive, and I'm going to remove the backing from all that tape. Then I'll add it to the bag that was scored at 6 but had the sealed end on the top. So I'm just going to get that lined up here, and this is going to give me a nice straight edge across of the craft paper, as well as become another pocket on the front. So now that we have our first 2 bags connected, we can begin to work in our pattern paper. So I have this first piece cut to be the width that was just less than 5.5 wide. And the first piece that goes in the back is 5 3/4 high. And I'm going to use my 2 glue combo for this because each of the pockets will be adhered to this. So I want to make sure that it is well secured. So I'm just going to center that right up to the line where that pocket opening is. And then I'm going to bring in my third bag, and you see I have added my double-sided adhesive to only the sides and the bottom so that we can get a whole nother pocket out of this. So remove the backing from your tape and then bring that right to the bottom of your pattern paper, and even with both sides. Now fold this flap down, and you can bring in your second piece of pattern paper. This one is 4 inches high by 5.5 wide. Then just repeat that process with this portion of the bag, folding it up to create another pocket. Putting my glue. Now for the last piece of pattern paper that goes inside of the pockets, and this one is 3¼ inches high. I was able to use the same 3 sheets of paper for these sections. I simply reversed the order so that the smaller portion came off of the larger page, and I was able to get these fully covered with the same patterns. And that is the last piece that goes into the pocket. Now remember that we have the flap from the first bag. I'm going to adhere it only to the sides. And you can skip the glue on this one because we're going to wrap that with our last pattern of paper. I have put my adhesive on the bag itself because if I put it on the pattern paper that's going to cover, I might accidentally seal up the sides. So let's take that tape off now. And then I'm going to line my pattern up with the bottom and wrap it around. So this piece is 1¾ inch high, and it was the full width of the piece of paper from that 6x8 paper pad. And I'm just lining that up along the bottom. Now I've got my scoreboard one last time. I do want to score where I'm going to wrap this around. So I'll just bring the edge up to one of the grooves in the scoreboard and mark that so I get a good crisp edge, and slide it over just slightly so that I can do the same for this side as well. Now I'm going to flip these over and attach them to the back, and that will seal up our final pocket. I'm going to wait to do that until I'm ready to attach it to the accordion base so that I can take advantage of the tape that I've already put on. To create the base for the accordion fold portion, I have 2 pieces of 65 pound weight cardstock, and they are both 6 high by 11 wide, scored at 5½. And I've put my tape on one side here, and I'll go with my 2 glue combo. And then just bring these together into the corner and keeping it even along the bottom. So now you have an accordion fold portion, and we want to cover the inside as well with our collection paper. So I brought in some green cardstock to coordinate, and it is cut to be 5 7/8 inch high by 5 3/8 inch wide. And then I have a layering piece that was the offcut from the next section. So I'm just cutting that to be the right height, and I can get a nice layering pattern. So I'm just going to bring this to the side with my layering pattern on the outside to make a nice border. Can you hear? Tinker has come down to be our honorary mascot for today. Now we have both sides of this portion done. We open that up to this side, and I'll repeat that process, but you can see how I flipped those patterns so that I could get use out of my offcuts and they don't wind up in the scrap bin. This is going to add a tremendous amount of sturdiness and thickness to this, so this is making it very chunky and nice. So you have to decide which one you want on the front. I think I'll take this side. And now we're going to attach the bag pocket sections. Took the tape off of the back. Oh, hi, Tinker. Are you going to do crafts now? And then I'll bring this together flat against the surface and even from the sides as well. Now look how nice and thick this is getting. So you have a flip going this way, flip it over and add the second bag to the back. Just repeat that process and bring these portions together. Look how nice and thick that is now. Okay, so we have pockets, we've got to fill them, and I have decided to put the flat inserts on the back so that I can have this sitting flat instead of being all wobbly. So for the back pockets, I'm adding 2 flat inserts. The first one will go into the back pocket. The cardstock measurement for this is 5 3/4 by 5, and the pattern paper is 5 5/8 by 4 7/8. And the second insert is 4 1/4 high by 5 wide. The pattern paper 4 1/8 by 4 7/8, and that will go into this pocket. We've also got a couple of tags from that cut apart sheet. There were a couple that had a natural end so that I could clip a little bit of it off so that I can put it in the front pocket and it wouldn't overlap as much. So let's put one here as well. I'm offsetting them so you can see all of the nice layers. And then this one goes into that pocket. And I've also got one of the 3x4 cut aparts, and I'll just slide that into there. Now you can see when I flip it over, it'll set flat, which it won't if we embellish the back as well. So let's go ahead and finish off the front. For the tags on this side, I'm going to add my embellishments, and I have started with clipping the end of this one so that it would be shorter in this front pocket. I've also punched holes and added eyelets. Now I want to include some ribbon trim. I picked this beautiful red Houndstooth pattern from Really Reasonable Ribbon, and I also considered this bold check, but I thought the smaller pattern would look nicer if I were cutting it shorter. I just want to run this through the eyelet. I'm creating the trim on the top without adding a lot of bulk so that I'll have room for the bells that I'm going to add. So I'm pulling that forward, and then I'll just line these up and pinch them closed. I'll tie them with string so that they will stay snug in that eyelet. Clip off the excess into a V shape so that the ends won't fray. I'm going to add my glue mat here so that I don't stick anything down accidentally to my pockets. I've got a loopy twine bow. Just place that in the center and use hot glue to attach it. And then I've got that jingle bell that I mentioned, and I've already tied some string on there. I want to add a little hot glue to this so that I can position this where I want it to fall. Otherwise, it might flop over. So I'm just putting the back right into the center of my loopy twine bow and waiting just a bit for that to set up. And then I'll wrap my string around the loopy twine bow, bring it to the back, and then tie that into a knot so it will be secure. I think this is a good time for our question of the day. And since Tinker has blessed us with his presence for this video, I guess the question should be, do you dress your pets for the holidays? Now, we have 2 cats, Lily and Tinker, and I have in the past picked up Halloween costumes for them, and they do not like them. They will tolerate them briefly for a photo op, but they do not enjoy it. So I try not to go to too much expense because I know they're not going to last. But let me know in the comments if you have a pet. Do you dress it up for the holidays? So here's our first tag, and that will slide into this first pocket. And then it was fortuitous that this tag had the 25 on the side so that I could lay it in this way, and it will show that detail from the pocket. I've got 2 more tags prepared in the same way, and I'll just slide those in. Remember, we're keeping these staggered so that you can see all the fun detail throughout. So we've got those tags in place. This collection has space on the back for adding some journaling, which would be nice. If you're using this pocket as memory keeping, then you'll be able to keep all of that together with your pictures. And then last but not least, I have my floral arrangement, and I decided to do this in one straight line rather than a curve for this. And I laid my pieces out so that I could contain them within the sides here and keep the fragile bits from falling over. So I'm just adding that with my hot glue right to the center. I did finish this arrangement with my die cut foliage, loopy twine bows, and some netting. And I'll just go ahead and refold those creases so I get all of that beautiful dimension. So that's it for day 2 of our 12 days of Christmas series. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for day 3. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know in the comments and give me a big thumbs up for this tutorial. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. And remember, you can find links to all the socials as well as the products I mentioned in this video in the description below. As always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye!